Thanks so much, Jackie. It's nice to see you all here and to be a part of this conversation. A lot of my work focuses on food and agricultural systems, and some of the topics that were discussed already today by some other panelists are very familiar to me, especially apropos of the projects that I'm working on now as a media fellow, having to do with water insecurity, which Carlos spoke of earlier. My focus is on the United States, which has been sort of an overlooked contingency when it comes to folks who are experiencing water poverty and water insecurity, but all that's changing, obviously, with climate change and as various kinds of contamination are seeping into people's wells, aquifers are being pumped dry. I don't need to tell all of you probably about many of the depressing sort of outcomes that are happening now. Also, ultra high processed foods, as two panelists pointed out, affecting disproportionately low-income communities who I report on all the time. Interestingly, that was the jumping off point for the stories that I proposed as a media fellow to NOVA. There is research coming out of the university, out of Northwestern University and some others that shows a very strong correlation between food insecurity and water insecurity, and that's what I'm writing about. I'm in fact just recently back from a week in the Central Valley of California, in the San Joaquin Valley specifically, which is at the southern part of the breadbasket of the United States. I think it's something like 40% of our food is grown there. And I was speaking to farm workers who live in really pretty desperate situations, really rundown trailers, really poor quality everything, including poor access to clean water. So I was there speaking to farm workers about what possible solutions there were to increasing their access to clean water. It turns out, there's been a huge push to get farm workers better access to water in the field because they become so incredibly dehydrated, including especially as temperatures are rising. California, Oregon, Washington, and Colorado, I believe, are the 4 states that have legislation about this. Even so, speaking to farm workers, it became really clear that access to water, even in the field where it was legally mandated, was not happening. They're not allowed to bring their own water bottles for fear that they'll steal the produce that they're harvesting. The water that is supplied by large farm companies is often warm, smells bad, tastes bad. Folks don't want to drink it, in addition to a whole panoply of other problems. Then they go home and they don't have any water. They have water that's contaminated with manganese or lead or arsenic. And a lot of them are paying for, all of them are paying for water. They pay for water service in California. And in addition to a $100 water bill, they're also having to buy bottled water. So they're getting hugely walloped. And as I've written about before, poverty is really the root cause of these issues. And so for folks who are on SNAP, who can spend some of their SNAP benefits on water, that means that they have less money left over for food. So it just becomes this sort of downward spiral of badness for a lot of these populations. California is kind of an interesting case. They have a farm worker community that tends to be a lot less migratory and then in some other states because they have almost year-round production there. So folks are staying, even folks who are undocumented, which offers this enormous opportunity to build good quality housing. And there are some NGOs on the ground there that are doing just that, forming partnerships with places I didn't even know existed before, like Engineers Without Borders, new to me, but they're figuring out how to leverage federal and state funding to build better water infrastructure. It's really complicated. And also build better housing. So that's just a snippet. That's the first story that will be coming out for related to my fellowship. It'll be in The Guardian. It's been filed, and I'm excited to see it come out and present it all to you.